A lot of new and interesting information on some domain that is not very familiar to all of us. So it will be very interesting to discuss with our panelists about the future of the technology and AI. And I would like to invite on the stage now Mrs. Oana GROTANU, Executive Director at the Sustainability Embassy of Romania. RUXANDRA, Assistant Professor of Management at Tiffin University. ANTOANETA, co-founder at Alerta-Qui. LAZIA, Owner, Risk and Insurance Business Consultant at RMN 360. GILET, Associate Lawyer at DUFAUT and Associates. And DUMITRU, Tax Partner at Mazars, Romania. I heard today, and we all heard today, talking about new technologies, about AI, about robots taking people places and jobs, and other scenarios that humankind could be resilient or reluctant to accept. And I would very much like to emphasize, before starting our discussion, that all this technology and AI and robots that we are talking about is the result of the human mind and activity. So in the end, whatever we may say, the technology is our invention, and it is not possible that this technology will evolve or will be used without the help of people. So I will not be afraid of it. Thank you very much for being with us tonight. And I would like to start our discussion with Oana GROTANU, who is very passionate about communication, and now is Executive Director at Sustainability Embassy of Romania. This could be, let's say, an institution that not everybody is familiarized with. And it's an NGO, let's say, that was launched in 2018 with the mission to promote sustainability in the business environment, facilitating the transition to the new economic model where companies can solve social and environmental problems without sacrificing economic efficiency and profit. And I would like to ask you for the start of our discussion, how can we ensure business governance and sustainability, especially in this context when we all think about profitability and work efficiency? Please.
Hello from my side. Thank you very much for having me today, and congratulations for including sustainability on the topic of today's conference. We are happy to see that sustainability is a topic more and more relevant and discussed in many business communities in Romania. This is the only way forward to building a critical mass and to expand our bubble, which in the end is a bubble in a bubble, the sustainability bubble in the bubble of Bucharest. But to answer your questions, I would like to, before answering the how, I think I should first highlight a bit about the why. And I have some figures with me and some data that are relevant in order to explain what pressures we are facing nowadays as a humanity. Half of the world's GDP is depending on nature, and still we are witnessing the global collapse of biodiversity. According to the latest Global Risk Report from the World Economic Forum, in the next decade, 4 out of the 10 global risks affecting our economy and society in the end are related to the environment. And I'm referring to extreme weather events, critical change to Earth systems, biodiversity loss, of course, and natural resources shortages. And according to the United Nations Refugees Agency, between 2008 and 2016, an annual average of 21.5 million people were forcibly displaced each year by weather-related events, such as floods, storms, wildfires, and extreme temperatures. I think that all these numbers bring a strong argument about why the current economic model, which is very focused on minimizing costs and increasing profitability, is 100% broken. This is a living proof that we have to change the mindset and we have to say yes to the sustainability revolution. This is the only way forward. Definitely, it's not an easy endeavor. It's a very bumpy road, we're full of challenges, but to be honest, it's the only way forward because we have no planet B where to move on and do business. And regarding the how, because I think I've highlighted a bit the importance of why we need to change as a society, I think it's important to explain a bit what means really the sustainable business model. It's about where a company incorporates ESG considerations in its daily operations and integrates into corporate decision-making processes. This process is really speeding up because we have increasing scrutiny from the stakeholders, consumers, investors, for example, and also sustainability regulatory landscape, which is rapidly evolving, and it's going from voluntary reporting to mandatory reporting, which is a huge shift in what means corporate disclosure and accountability. And why should companies engage to contribute to this very important transition? Because in the end, sustainability can boost profitability and drive positive results for the company's bottom line, profitability. And I will name only a few of them: improved efficiency in what means using resources, positive reputation among consumers and also future employees and current employees, easier access to capital from new funds, because we have to be aware that money will flow into sustainable businesses, because we have some targets at EU level also that we have to meet until 2050. And of course, reducing business disruption within your value chain, and in the same time mitigating risk because you're not going to comply the law. So it's a huge shift that we have to contribute all, and in the same time, it's imperative that we really understand that it's no longer the case to continue doing business as usual, because the risk of inaction is much higher than the risk than the cost of acting now for the benefit of our generation and the generations to come.
Thank you very much, OANA. As I said before, people are resilient to change, and all this new technology, all this concept about ESG and sustainability and all the work that comes with all these concepts make people and companies resilient. And with that being said, I would like to open the new subject of our discussion and move to RUXANDRA VODÃ, who is Assistant Professor of Management at Tiffin University, with 25 years of expertise in communication, digital transformation and ESG. For the last 15 years, she held management position in corporate communication in the former Telecom Romania. And now she is communication director at Actor Romania. And you are one of the PhD students and graduated from the Leadership and Change Executive Master of Business Administration from Tiffin University. Now you are working on a cybersecurity and data protection bachelor degree program that will be launching this fall at Tiffin University in Romania. And this brings me to the first question for you. What skills should the new generations of graduates have to respond to technological evolution and revolution, as OANA was saying?
Thank you, MIOARA, for the kind introduction, and thank you all for being here with us. So yes, today I will, let's say, address from the perspective of a professor and also of one of the persons in charge, let's say, feeling responsible to contribute to the education of future generations, to better manage in building sustainable businesses and in maneuvering digitalization and artificial intelligence in building sustainable businesses. So in the academia, of course, everybody is aware that, let's say, preparing future generations for the world of tomorrow, which is a highly, let's say, highly dependent on technology, on artificial intelligence and all the derived applications. We are changing the curriculums. We are trying to, and we are integrating, let's say, courses and disciplines meant to prepare these future generations for these changes, because the change will only accelerate. That is why, besides the, let's say, integrating in the current curricula modules and courses focused on technology in the Bachelor of Business Administration program we have, and in the EMBA program we have here in Romania, we're going to also bring a cybersecurity and information assurance program. And going back to your question, this is because we want to give this young generation the skills for tomorrow. And of course, I'm talking about competencies for tomorrow, like, okay, everybody's talking about STEM, focus on STEM education. Even people without STEM or young students without STEM background can enroll, for example, into a cybersecurity program in TIFIN, because we are also building the basics for being capable to develop the data analytics skills, having basic software skills, understanding what cybersecurity is about, understanding all the layers of an IT and information system infrastructure in a company, and so on. So, STEM background is an advantage for the future generation. That's a competence that will help all other skills. Another skill is critical thinking. We see that more and more reliance on artificial intelligence applications can diminish our ability to filter, evaluate, and judge what we are delivered from AI-based applications. So critical thinking is a skill that young generation needs to have, I would say, even better than we do. Then going around and linking my answer to sustainability. Integrating, let's say, using technologies and becoming aware to use technologies and AI applications to build sustainable businesses. So integrating the ESG and technology part in the curricula and making students aware how they can influence and build a sustainable business. I would keep on these, let's say, three types of competencies and abilities. Of course, in preparing, researching for this conference, I used like 4 AI applications, and all of them have given me between 10 and 12, let's say, critical skills for the young generation. But it's important to know that even if we don't have a STEM background, we can still prepare the future generation. I personally do not have inclination, I don't have a STEM background. Nevertheless, I have a dissertation in artificial intelligence and decision making, so I was able to build the necessary background on the go. We can do this with everybody, even with those inclined for about art, for example.
Yes, talking about art. I would like to say something that I heard in an HR conference a few months ago, where it was a lot of HR specialists there, and they were saying that the skills of the future generation should be focused on soft skills, not on STEM, what you are talking about, and on this type of let's say science technological background. So we should be focusing a lot of emotional intelligence and less on technical.
Let me add to the list and close. Intercultural abilities, these are abilities for the future. Capacity to judge a business and to develop a business plan, thinking globally, not only regionally. Empathy and all these type of soft skills are critical. We are already preparing students, and most of the programs prepare students on these soft skills. they will become more and more important. Yes, machines will do automation, machines will provide data for decision making, but we will need, and the future generation will need to have all this array of soft skills.
Thank you. So now you are just confirming my theory from the beginning. So machines cannot work by themselves, we need people behind them.
Machines can work by themselves, but they will still need people.
Thank you very much. Moving forward to Antoaneta Pop, the co-founder at Alerta.cui, has an extensive experience as financial and risk analyst at Romanian top leasing and banking institutions. And she founded 12 years ago this Alerta.cui, that is the first online solution in Romania dedicated to monitoring companies, a tool that allows professionals to quickly react to potential risks in their portfolio of business partners. Antoaneta, I would like you to kindly start the discussion about the data ethics and what does data ethics mean and how important it is for a company to respect this principle and in order to maintain clients' trust. And if you can give us some examples in this area.
Okay, first of all, I want to say something because you said about the soft skills, and I would like to make a larger context about how important is data. About the soft skills, we think I had a discussion with my sister-in-law, and she said, she's a FORESIGHT specialist, and she said that in the future, when you will be reading CVs of the future employees, instead of Microsoft Office skill and English language, it should be data literacy as a mandatory skill. Why? Because data is important, and because they offer insights. You cannot read only numbers without seeing what is behind these numbers. Now we are overwhelmed by data from data suppliers, from our suppliers, customers, and so on. There is a study made by Gartner that said that only 20% of the data that we receive is actionable. Imagine yourself that you have an Excel file with 10 spreadsheets, and only 2 spreadsheets are indeed actionable. So yes, we need to see the insight. We need to see the information behind the data, and this is the larger context. Now, coming back to data ethics, what is data ethics? Data ethics is a set of rules and moral principles under which all the data management should be should the organization handle. This is a very generous subject. There are so many aspects that you can think of. For instance, what is data ethics is the transparency of handling this information, is the compliance of the data, is the confidentiality. It's not using biased data. It's not having data breach. So these are only some aspects that you can touch when you're talking about data ethics. But what I would like to focus on is the source of data. When you have a supplier of data, for instance, you need to see if it is legally obtained, that data. Why? Because they may be valuable data that offer you competitive advantages, for instance. And they may be very correct data. And you might even have a contract signed, a compliance agreement signed by your data supplier. But this is a very important issue that you will have to think about when you have this data obtained from your supplier. Why? For instance, smaller companies are not very interested in the way these data are obtained. But when we talk about the bigger companies, where you have a governance policy, if happens, your risk of reputation damage is very high. So you really need to focus on this aspect as well, in order not to suffer losses in trust of the users and of your partners. This is one aspect. I will come back to some good practices a little bit later, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you, Antoaneta. Moving forward to Paul LAZIA, owner, risk and insurance consultant at RMN 360. Passionate about helping business owners to navigate through the complex landscape of insurance, enabling them to make informed decisions that protect their assets and ensure sustainable growth. Has a strong foundation in negotiation, enterprise risk management, business planning, sales strategy, and customer relationship management. He believes in the power of collaboration and networking, so feel free to approach him at the end of the panel if you are interested in what he will be saying. Also, the company that he founded, RMN 360, offers risk management services, having a team of consultants with over 20 years of experience, helping companies of all sizes to focus on business development by using a complete set of insurance solutions. So, Paul, you are a risk expert. So, please help us understand how do we translate ethics and sustainability of the business from the risk point of view.
Does it work? I didn't know. The ethics, from my point of view, first of all, thank you for this big presentation. It is too big for me. RMN 360 represents Risk Management Network 360. Why? Because we are starting from ethics. Ethics in business, and the risk management is starting from ethics, and also it is implementing DSG in the company. All this combination of AI products and other IT risk management products are, how can I say, they are not letting us to be so focused on the soft skills of the people. No, each and every contract is starting with a shake of hands. And this is the most important, because when you are making a contract, you are giving a trust to your partner. A trust in order to develop you some products or to buy from him some products. And if we are not putting this trust in all the elements that we are using, including AI products, the risk management, the risk will increase in our business. Let's do like that. I shake my hand with my partner, but in the contract, when he's filling in all the clauses, he's limiting his exposure, giving me the biggest exposure. And I saw this in a lot of contracts. In this period, everybody's speaking about cyber risk, for example. But when we are looking forward in the contract, we are seeing that our partner in cyber risk are limiting their exposure in terms of liability due to the contract. We must be partners, we must understand that with the ethics, it's starting all the relationship. If we do not have ethics in our business, we will have the highest risks. And also our employees, the comportment of our employees will be according to the contract. In the end, ESG, it means that what is our purpose and what is our impact in the society, near us and around us. Let me make you understand a little bit with a small example. I had an issue with my email, for example, and it didn't work 3 days ago. And when I tried to call the call center of the company that provided me with the support, the call center answered me. It was a robot, and they were telling me, you must be eligible to speak with us. even though I have lost some clients during the period that couldn't have access to my emails. And the question is, this is ethical or not? How we can manage these risks? From my point of view, this is not a partnership. But we must, we as promoters of ESG, of cyber controlling products, must promote also the ethics in the contracts and between the people that we collaborate with, even employees.
Thank you, Paul. Talking about contracts, we'll move on to a lawyer now, to Maud Gilet, who is associate lawyer at DUFAUT & Associates, a French lawyer registered at the Paris and Bucharest bar, having completed her studies as a lawyer with training in computer programming. So you are one of the lawyers with a STEM background. DUFAUT is a law firm that offers full services law related to the law background, based in Bucharest and Paris, and provides comprehensive legal advice and assistance in all the promising sectors in Romania, from industry, infrastructure, transport, to energy, telecommunications, pharma, and food processing. Having that said, Maud, and related to all our conversation from our panel, how do new technologies support the use of and access to the legal framework by the business environment, by the businessmen and women, of course, and the legal professionals as well?
Hello everyone, it works, yes. Thanks for having me in this panel. I'm really glad to be here to talk about this fascinating subject of the relationship between law and technology. So I would like to address two different topics. One is how the new technologies can help legal practitioners such as lawyers, judges, notaries to practice better. And maybe more important, more general, how can technologies also favorize the access to the law to the greater public, like business owners, citizens in general. So on the first part, how can new technologies help the legal practitioners such as I do my job? I will just go through two very concrete examples. One is the use of blockchains. I'm sure you all have heard about them, know how they function, and especially the fact that they are very big, decentralized, transparent registers in which you can put some data. On a legal perspective, for instance, if you take intellectual property, it's of very great use, very efficient. If you have to prove the ownership, the creation of something, you put it in the blockchain and it's there forever, in a way, because the blockchain cannot be changed, erased, deleted. So use of the blockchain for legal practitioners is like a revolution. Another very concrete and very clear example is in artificial intelligence, and especially machine learning and text analysis. When you're a legal professional, a lawyer, but also like a judge, a notary, you have to go through an enormous amount of documentation, contracts, sources, and there again, having the help of artificial intelligence can make you gain a lot of time. You have a first analysis, you can have some statistics, some summaries on a lot of documents, a lot of information. That brings you a first level of analysis, and then you come and you have your human approach of what gets out of the bot, let's say. And if we go to a wider level, how I think that's even more interesting in a way. How can new technologies help, in general, everyone to access to the legal framework, to have access to the law? I would say that what new technologies bring is to make the law more accessible, more understandable to everyone. As we know, the more we know about our rights, the more we have access to information, the more we can then be like citizens aware of what we can do in our society. And on that part, for instance, states have begun to create some platforms, some chatbots, for instance, explaining the law to everyone. And so their technology makes the law more accessible, and in states governed by the rule of law, I think that's one of the main points, to have access to what's our rights. And on the more business part, more and more softwares are, for instance, created about company law. Before that were topics that were only practiced by legal professionals, by lawyers. How do you incorporate a company? How do you write your documentation every year when you gather your shareholders? How do you draft your contracts? Before, that were topics that were only related to, like, you gave them to your lawyer, he took care of it, and you as a business owner, you didn't even understand exactly what was going on. I think that there again, the technology can help to give a first level access to everyone, a business owner, to have a first draft of a contract or to have some models. And so I'm saying that not in a way that lawyers will be replaced by robots or judges will be replaced by robots in general. I don't think that it will happen, and I hope that it will happen. I just think that some of the tasks that we used to do as lawyers, or we still do, maybe more administrative, repetitive work, will be passed on to technology, which is good for everyone, I think, even for us lawyers, because we'll have more high-value tasks, so in a way our jobs will be more interesting. But
taking care of litigations that are generated by the AI will allowing the contracts.
And litigation will also be resolved by bots at one point, so we'll just be in the holidays and it will be very fun for us.
Thank you very much, Maud. Moving forward to Lucian Dumitru, who is tax partner at Mazars, Romania. He has 13 years of experience in the field of taxation, being specialized in transfer pricing and direct taxation. Mazars is a leading international audit, tax and advisory company operating as a united partnership, leveraging expertise, skill and cultural understanding to deliver exceptional and tailored services in audit and consulting, as well as tax, financial advisory, consulting and legal services. It has over 50,000 people working in more than 100 countries and territories. And also, what is very interesting about Mazars is that they are developing their own tailored tax tooling to service companies on a local, regional and global basis. The use of AI like Copilot and Mazars AI is being currently tested for the best use of all line of services inside Mazars. So you could say that you now are the tax consultants with the STEM expertise. So Lucian, in your expertise, what is the impact at the level of companies brought by new technologies for the tax function, and what are the benefits and the risk, if there are any, in this area?
Yeah, so I think first I will put tax technology more into the current context. Based on experience, I can tell you that when we look at tax technology in Romania, this has been lagging behind for a lot of years. Technology in the wider finance function of companies. However, what we have seen in the last couple of years is that additional tax reporting obligations, especially involving a huge amount of accounting and tax data, has basically generated the need to implement technology also in terms of the tax function. Because yes, let's be real, no one likes taxes. They are a certainty. So basically, technology. We look at technology as a means of ensuring tax compliance. So for you to understand the actual trend which has generated, especially in Romania, the need to implement technology in tax departments, I would look first at implementation of safety reporting in 2022 for large taxpayers, then for medium-sized taxpayers in 2023. We look now at additional reporting in terms of e-invoicing and e-transport, which are related to the VAT. We all know that Romania has the biggest VAT gap, VAT tax evasion out of the EU. So we see some concrete steps in terms of regulatory, which basically have generated the need to really implement technology in this function. Because when you look at the amount of data which needs to be reported by companies, it would basically be impossible to do it in the traditional manual way, yeah, which a lot of companies in Romania, unfortunately, have been doing. So when I look at when we talk about the specific impact of technology, first I look from our experience with the tools that we have, reporting tools that we have developed locally for our clients. Also, I also refer to the assistance that we give to clients who have wanted to develop internally their reporting tools. And I would say that the first impact is in terms of digitalization of the tax function. Nowadays, I think for around 2.5 years, you cannot as a company submit physical tax returns. And I can tell you from my experience that there were companies that were having copies of tax returns, like full rooms of physical tax returns. So nowadays, the digitalization goes into the direction of having electronic documents, data repository of documents. Second, the next impact is in terms of increased efficiency of the tax reporting and tax compliance, while at the same time having a significantly reduced risk of human error compared to the other way in which people were basically inputting data in a tax return and then submitting it and etc. So we see this is a really significant impact. And when I say about efficiency, it's not about the fact that yes, you would not need so many employees. Basically, there is an acute lack of skilled employees on the Romanian market, especially in finance and tax. So being more efficient with these mundane tasks is opening up more time for the employees to do more value-adding activities. And I would also bring a special reference about AI, because I've been hearing also in the previous panel. So AI, I like something from the previous panel that saying, okay, do not overestimate AI. So from our experience, we have implemented and we are testing it in a sandbox environment, a tool that is called Maya, and separately we also test the Copilot from Microsoft. What is the purpose of this? So first, we want to be able to service clients more efficiently. Yeah. So when we look at AI in our profession, first we look at the ability to research the law and to make use of the law in a much faster and in a more comprehensive way. So in this respect, AI, we hope that it will help. So this is the first point. And the second, our hope is that we will be able to, and the expectation is to integrate the AI into the tools that we have already developed, that would give more opportunities. So besides just doing a tax compliance, having a tool that does a tax compliance, having the AI integrated would basically extend, you know, the benefits to having automated controls in terms of tax, in terms of accounting. So we go a lot also into beyond efficiency. We go into the risk management, which maybe I am biased because of my profession, but when you look at tax, managing risk, from my experience, is extremely important, because just a small thing can actually
Because the client could pay a lot more than he has to.
Yeah, after 5 years it can be triple the amount. Yeah, so this is basically the main perspective, and I would conclude with the fact that although until now technology in tax has been seen only as a tool to do something which is mandatory, we see a shift, and we try to push a shift in respect of let's explore opportunities to use that tool that you already paid for in order to bring you additional internal benefits.
Thank you very much, Paul. Going back to OANA, to conclude with our discussion about sustainability, please share with us what are the challenges faced in the implementation of the solutions related to ESG and sustainability that we were talking before.
Before explaining a bit the challenges, I would like to develop and tell you more about the regulatory context I was mentioning in the beginning, that we are going from voluntary to mandatory. It's about the newly adopted Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, as we know it in the field. That really has to be a huge game changer, because it's set to widen the scope of company, widen the number of companies that are in scope. The previous directive was applied to almost 11,000 companies. Now we talk about 50,000 companies. Increase the quality and the amount of the data that companies have to disclose. We have now in place European sustainability reporting standards that cover almost 1,000 data points. So every company should disclose using those metrics. It's not that I disclose on GRI, you disclose on a standard. It's a level playing field, so to say. Very important change is the fact that all the sustainability reports will be audited by a third party, so I cannot say I'm sustainable and you have to believe me. I have to prove that, and an auditor will check my sustainability report, and at the same time we have a digital format that everybody has to use. It's very important also to highlight that the EU is working towards a European single access point for information, gathering their financial data and non-financial data for companies. And the scope is to have an integrated report, sustainability report and financial report, because it's very important to signal the alarm that sustainability and non-financial data are as much as important as financial data, because as mentioned in the before, sustainability matters to business. If we talk about climate change and nature, it's really expensive and it's very costly for a business to operate in a not healthy environment from an environment point of view. At national level, the CSRD was transposed in January this year, Ordinul 85 pe 2024. To allow companies to prepare the transposition, the reporting will come in stages. In 2025, for the financial year 2024, the current year, we are going to see sustainability reports for companies that are public entities, companies of public interest, that are large companies, over 5,000 employees, and that also are listed on a regulated market like stock and change. The big change is coming in 2026, when we are expecting sustainability reports from medium and large scale companies that are not classified as public interested entities, or PM. In our current legislation, it's a bit different from the one at the European level. At the European level, we talk about companies that have over 250 employees, but in Romania, the CSRD obligations in 2026 for 2025 financial financial year will apply to companies medium and large scale that surpass at least two of the following three criteria at the balance sheet date. We are talking about total assets that are over almost 400 million euro, turnover almost 8 million euro, and average number of employees during the financial year, 50 employees. From the data we have received from ICAP Romania, taking into account the balance data sheet for 2022, we are talking about over 5,000 companies in Romania that should disclose their sustainability report in 2026. And we have lots of SMEs here. And I come to your question and to the challenges. It's a mixture because, unfortunately, even if we were warned that sustainability reporting is coming to become mandatory, it was never really something that was really taken into account. So in the end, unfortunately, we don't have a business case for sustainability in Romania. Companies or managers still see it as a trend, still see it as a buzzword, and still think that they can get away with planting trees with their employees and donating to supporting NGOs, but that CSR that's not sustainability. And it can really turn into greenwashing if an NGO signals that you are, let's say, polluting waters while they're planting trees with employees, as mentioned. The fact that we don't have a business case and sustainability is on one street and the business strategy is on the other street led to another fact. We don't have enough people that are dedicated to sustainability and we don't have expertise. And it's a very dangerous line there because, okay, we are rebranding, risk manager becomes ESG risk manager, the communication manager becomes sustainability manager. But in the end, these are empty structures. It's like a sandcastle, and that's really what it's called competence greenwashing, and it's a risk that companies should be aware of it.
Yes, but this is like the beginning of everything.
Yes.
We don't have the expertise, we don't have the background, we don't have the history to learn from it, but now we are writing it.
Yes, at the same time, we're learning by doing, and it's not an easy endeavor, but if the management doesn't decide to invest in sustainability, doesn't allocate resources, doesn't build processes, we don't have data. So I was mentioning about the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. A major element that the CSRD brings into the stage is the fact that it's called double materiality. I have to disclose my impacts, not only my impacts, but the impacts of my suppliers. So in the sustainability report, I have to talk about risks. That means financial materiality and also impact. What I'm causing, how I'm harming the environment and the society, and at the same time my suppliers. And if you were to talk to an SME, for example, which is a supplier for a large company that is now approaching the SME for data, you are going to see that they have nothing in place. So we don't have people, we don't have expertise, we don't have processes, and in the same time, we don't have expertise at the state level to create incentives and sanctions. Because guess what? It's easier to package in virgin plastic than to package a product in recycled PET or recycled plastic. What would a company choose?
From the cost point of view?
From the cost point of view, they are going to choose the virgin plastic. So I would say that until business leaders don't decide to invest in sustainability, until they don't make the shift in perceiving sustainability as a cost rather an investment, we are not going to move the needle. That's the reality.
I would like to say also from the perspective of a consumer, but also of a business owner, a business manager. I would say that this issue with the sustainability should be like a bigger picture. It's not only about the companies and it's not only about the authorities, it's also about our consumers, our clients. Because as you said, if I choose to use a recycled bag, it will cost me more, or a recycled bottle to put my oil or whatever I am producing, it will cost me more, and that cost will be translated in the price of my product, and it will be translated in the number of clients that will buy my product. So in the end, I might be facing bankruptcy if I am not cost efficient. And we had this situation with one of my colleagues from the EMBA who was in this situation with his company. So I think that we should see this like a bigger picture and have solutions for, we have to think about solutions for all these situations, because sustainability is not only about these directives that you are talking about and about this reporting, because in the end, these are data that will not use nobody if we don't have actually some sustainable actions and some, I don't know, some incentives to help us, to help the businesses.
Everybody has to win, and sustainability is a team effort inside the company, inside its value chain, and inside the society and among sectors. I was mentioning the importance of the authorities to step in and to create, you know, the legislative framework and all the incentives that should support companies to make the change and to, let's say, to support the others that are investing, and in the same time sanction the others that are not investing. And because you mentioned the fact of reporting, there is a huge danger of reporting for the sake of reporting, just for compliance. If to report and to analyze your impact, because this is something that companies are not really doing now. They don't know where they stand, they don't know where they start from, they don't know their impacts, they cannot identify their risks, and then they cannot identify business opportunities. So we have to measure that. But in the same time, if you don't do anything with the data that you collect from the sustainability reporting process, that's pointless. Reporting for the sake of being compliant, that's only, you lose money in the end. The sustainability report should be perceived as an instrument of management, of fostering the change, because transition into sustainability is also about, you know, pouring money into empowering people, but also about change management. Like climate change is also about change management and empowering people to feel that they can do the change. It's about really synchronizing our efforts, because we have some companies that already are striving to that and they have managed to reach some important milestones, but if the state is not jumping in, the consumers don't understand why should I pay a higher price at the shelf, be
Yes,
it
we are going
virtual
back to
self
education,
or,
because first of all we need education. Education for the consumers, education for the business owners, education for the authorities. So we are going back to education, to Ruxandra. Thank you, Anna. And the question that comes right now is, how do we make generations of young people aware of the importance of sustainability and ESG principles to contribute to the development of businesses? And I'm not talking now only about new generations. Okay, we are the ones who are educating the new generations, but are we capable of doing that? Do we understand all these principles? Are we able to transfer this information to them?
I would give an optimistic response. Yes, we are. Okay, so we set it up, we're gonna do it. And we are learning by doing now, it's our generation. And another good news, so there are studies showing that younger generations are even more aware than us about sustainability and ESG. And to prepare them, we just need to, let's say, integrate sustainability and ESG in curricula, work on case studies, work on concrete examples with them. I've seen this working on case studies in TIFIN, in our BBA program, and it really makes a difference, because sometimes ESG or sustainability is too abstract for them. Then be their role models. So encourage businesses to support young people that have sustainable initiatives, develop platforms for young generation. I've seen it, many companies started to do sustainable, let's say, initiatives, marketing efforts, but now they are really, they have really developed in a real sustainable initiative. So companies should keep on doing them, expand them, and involve young generations. And also show younger generations how they can use technology to support sustainable businesses. And, you know, as we do with AI, start by doing and start by bits and pieces if we cannot do it all at once. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ruxandra. Antoaneta, going back to what we started, and you said that you will give us some examples now. Please do share with us.
Yes, some examples, and also yes, some examples I would like to
as fast as possible, because we are very limited time.
I was thinking about some examples. For instance, we are regarding the ethical data, because there is this balance that we have to make between the profitability and the ethical use of data. For instance, if we have a timeline for a project and we don't have enough data, or we have too much data, so we need to deliver that product. We have that window of opportunity. What do we do? How do you handle this? And in addition, there is also this context, the European context, where there are some regulations. We like to have regulations in Europe, or instead in the United States we have a growth mindset, and usually some disasters happens. For instance, Cambridge Analytica, or Equifax or Enron, and these are examples of ways of not doing the business, and the
or Theranos, if you want.
Yes,
because it's more no.
Yes, there are so many examples. There are some strategies that we can categorize, and there are already some good examples.
Could you share with us a good example?
Yes, a good example. For instance, in an industry or who works, not industry, but a public institution that works with data. There is in UK, for instance, a committee, a Center of Data Ethics and Innovation that is governed by the Ministry of Science in the UK. And also there are some good examples that are offered by the Open Data Institute, that offers ethics data campus. That is very, very nicely done, and you can use it in order to rely, in order to see if you are compliant or if you are ethically managing the data. So yes, there are good examples, and we can do better. And what I would like to say also, transparency and responsibility are very important, and I think that profitability on the long run can be an advantage when you are dealing with data ethics.
Thank you very much, Antoaneta. Paul, one last remark from you. How do you prepare our business for the digitalization?
It was, all the subject is very interesting. As you know, I'm working in insurance domain for already 22 years, and no one knows, or at least consider that the insurance business and also the banking business were the single domains where we used big data in order to make risk profiles. And we have
use all the data of a company in order
not
to make the
only the companies, but also how they are managing the risk, how they are protecting the risk, how they are communicating with the employees, and how they are dealing with the clients and the third parties. And all this new legislation is giving us a help in order to see how things that we are promoting to our clients starting to be implemented by the law. In the end, the sustainability of each and every company or a physical person, it comes from how we are acting with the other people. And I'm saying always to all my friends, we start the change with us, not with the others. We cannot have any question, any request to other people if we are not starting the change with us. And in respect to all the examples that you have given, right now we have just some names of some politics, but in the end we are doing the same things. We are protecting ourselves, against risk, and we are trying to develop our businesses with the tools that have been developed in this period of time. Because every one of us tries to have a protection to their families, their employees, their partners, and to have a sustainable business.
Thank you very much, Paul. You are talking about the evolution of the technology and all this big data and digitalization, and I would like to go back to Maud and to underline the fact that technology is evolving much rapid than the law. What can be done to reduce this gap? Because we see a lot of situations when use of technology is not protected from the legal point of view. And then we have all these situations when we see risk appearing and that cannot be covered because we don't have the law necessary.
Yeah, I will make a very quick answer, and maybe we can discuss it with a beer a bit later, with some examples. So first of all, yeah, of course, law and technology go at two different rhythms. Law is always behind, if we can see it like this, or we could see the other way around and think that there has been some examples where the legal framework came and then the practices changed in the domain of technology but other domains. We have the GDPR example, where it was seen as something that could not be applied, that could not be possible, but now all the European firms and also all the partners of those firms, so US companies, Chinese companies, all the firms around the world became compliant. So there the legal framework created the precedent and created the way business is done. CSRD is also a very great example. Yeah, but I think it's all. So I think we have not to be fatalist about the fact that nothing can be done and technology will evolve. How, like, whatever we do, we can act before it and create the framework. And so to conclude, two things to reduce the gap. Education, I think. Everyone has to understand what is going on with technology, AI, to understand more what we are doing and all the risks and challenges that are associated to that, and be more proactive, more decisive in the fact that we want to create a framework in which technological progress also goes on with social progress, and not just let it go and go wild and pass on to the machine, and we are just humans that are overwhelmed by technology.
Thank you very much, Maud. And in the end, Lucian, let's address the elephant in the room, the collaboration between taxpayers and authorities. How efficient is that? How the technology is helping our authorities to be more efficient and to be more, to communicate better with the taxpayers? Because if you ask me...
Yeah, so when you say about, when you look at the question, how efficient are they, it's clear that they are not efficient enough. Yeah. When I look at what has been happening in the last, I think the pandemic 2020 was actually a trigger. We were talking for at least 10 years before about the ability to communicate electronically. So it was like, just like that in 3 months, 4 months in 2020, that we basically got electronic communication with the tax authorities. It may not sound a lot, but I can tell you from the perspective of working and communicating day to day with the tax authorities, that this was actually changed a lot in the way and the efficiency of the relationship. Now, a couple of expectations. All comes down and all is generated from the various systems which the tax authorities have been implementing and have in process of implementing. So, first expectation is for their use of big language models, AI, for analyzing the absolutely huge amount of data that they are currently gathering and they have been gathering historically just gathering dust on it, so not acting upon that. We look first at remote tax audits. We already see them in practice, especially for tax audits on private individuals. So this is what they call desk audits. So in their strategy, and also we have an objective in PNRR that next year 60% of all audits done by the tax authorities will be desk audits. So basically they will not come to you. Yeah, everything would be via electronic communication, and they will sit at their offices in their headquarters doing the tax. So this is a huge
step forward.
Yes. Second, the expectation is for a significant improvement in their internal risk analysis, by which they decide what taxpayers they should check. Because the experience says that usually the good taxpayers always get checked several times in a row. Yeah. And another aspect that I would say it's I would call it the holy grail, called horizontal monitoring, which has been implemented in a couple of countries in Europe, for example in Hungary for VAT. What does that mean? Basically, tax authorities would have direct access to the company's ERP, finance system, yeah? And they would be able to check in real time and to provide guidance in real time in respect of errors, things that should be corrected, risks that they perceive, basically in real time. Maybe some of these things actually feel like science fiction, yeah?
Indeed.
However, to conclude, I can tell you that in the last 3 years and the expectation that in the next 2-3 years, things have and will progress so much in public tax administration, so like more than in the previous 20 years, because we are at a breaking point with public finances. We have, and also our bid with the OECD, becoming a full member of the OECD. So I would say that there is clearly no way back. So we should be both hopeful and also be attentive and get prepared, because things will happen faster than we would actually expect.
Yes, tax authorities will move faster than technology. Thank you very much, Paul, for your interventions. Thank you all for being present today. As you've seen, our speakers were very passionate about their work. So we apologize for the delay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, please feel free to address our speakers in the cocktail that is coming after this. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Leona. Thank you very much to all the speakers. It was really interesting, and